Hello, this is Mr. Bakri, and today we are going to be talking about the basic essay structure. This video will help you write 5-paragraph essays for your high school courses. So first of all, what is an essay? An essay is a piece of writing on a particular subject designed to persuade a reader to believe in a particular idea. Okay, that's quite a mouthful. Let's try to break it down. So the word essay actually comes from Old French. It means to try, to put a trial, to weigh an argument, to ascertain the truth. Okay, so you're basically weighing fact from fiction, which arguments are stronger than what. And so what you're trying to do in an essay is you're trying to convince somebody. Okay, you're trying to persuade them. You have a particular idea, you have a particular taste or a particular belief, and you would like to convince the person that you're writing to that you are indeed correct. Every essay requires evidence, okay? Otherwise, you're just dealing with opinion. I like the color red, you like the color blue. That's just a matter of opinion. You can't really write an essay as to whether red is a better color than blue, okay, just in general. However, when you have evidence, when you have proof that something is true or something is false, then that is a much better essay topic. So for example, you may write an essay about the superiority of Japanese cuisine, Japanese food. So you may say, Japanese cuisine is the best cuisine in the world. It's a controversial point. It's a point that needs to be argued, and evidence needs to be provided for that. Similarly, you may write an essay about travel destinations. You may say France is a great travel destination. Is it? Is it a nice place to visit? Is it not a nice place to visit? This is something that people disagree on. Some people may not like Japanese cuisine or French culture. So these are relative statements. People don't have a consensus on this. They don't necessarily agree. And so you need to be able to argue this effectively, convincingly, persuasively, with proof, with evidence, and with the right kind of rhetoric that could change the mind of your audience. Okay, the power of persuasion is something that is universal. You need sometimes to convince your parents to let you go out with your friends. You might want to convince your girlfriend or boyfriend to travel to a certain place in the summer, okay, or to go to a certain place. You want to go skiing, you want to go hunting, you want to go fishing. It's not enough to just say, I want to do this, and in my opinion, this is the best. The best way is through good words and through evidence. And so this video will be looking at the 5-paragraph essay. This is the most basic essay that is written in many high school subjects. And it's a very useful and very practical structure. Of course, sometimes it's called the hamburger essay because it's a lot like a triple cheeseburger in this case. You have paragraph 1, which is represented by the bread at the beginning. Paragraph 2, with your first example. Of course, paragraph 1 is your introduction. Paragraph 2 is your body paragraph 1, or argument 1. Paragraph 3 is your body paragraph 2, or argument 2. Paragraph 4 is your body paragraph 3, or argument 3. And then, of course, your conclusion. Okay, so it's 5 paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I'm going to be teaching you how to write an effective introduction, how to write an effective body paragraph, and of course you need to do that 3 times for this particular essay structure, and then how to write an effective conclusion. So, if you want to write an introduction, you first want to start with a hook sentence. Okay? A hook in real life is used to catch fish. remember that nobody really wants to be reading essays. That's not the main form of entertainment of most people. And so you have to be able to convince people to read your essay using an interesting statement. It could be a quote, it could be a question that you're asking the reader, okay? It could be a fact, it could be a famous saying from someone, a celebrity, a historical figure. It could be a statistic, so some kind of number. It could even be humor, like a joke of some sort. And that's what the introduction is supposed to begin with. You want to hook in your reader. And then your your introduction should spend a few sentences of gradual exposition. In other words, you don't want to just jump into your topic right away. You want to be able to speak very generally, represented by this part of the triangle, okay? Looking at what is our understanding of the general topic, and then you go into your introduction more specifically, okay? Your topic needs to be then honed in more specifically. So for example, if you want to be speaking about Japanese cuisine being the best cuisine in the world, first you may speak about, after your hook sentence, you may speak about how food is an important part of everyone's life, and then you might speak again, more specific, how there are different kinds of foods in different cultures, and then you get more and more specific, and you might ask, which culture has the greatest cuisine? Okay, a mixture of good health, good taste, and originality, for example. Similarly, if you want to go on vacation to France, you don't just go to your parents and say, let's go to France. First, you might start off by saying, what is the purpose of traveling? The importance of traveling, the fun and the learning that happens. And then you go more and more specific. Let's travel to Europe. It's not too far, it's not too expensive, it's very unique and interesting. And then you may hone into specifically traveling to France. And that's what you want to do with your introduction. You want to be very gradual. The last sentence in an introduction is a thesis sentence. The thesis is the most important sentence in your essay. Okay? It is just one sentence. I can't tell you how many students I've had that have done a thesis sentence and it's 2, 3 sentences or 4 sentences or a whole paragraph. Please, a thesis is only one sentence, and it is the last sentence in your introduction. Okay, so you've written out your whole introduction, the thesis should come at the very end. It's just one sentence, and it should tell your reader exactly what you will be arguing. Okay, so what is this essay about? What are your arguments for this essay? If I don't have much time and I'm just looking at your essay, I should be able to very easily find your thesis at the end of your introduction, the end of the first paragraph, and know exactly what you are going to be talking about. So taking the example of Japanese cuisine, your thesis sentence for that topic might be the following. Japanese cuisine is the best cuisine in the world because it is healthy, original, and tasty. Notice how I gave 3 reasons in the thesis. This is because you're writing 5 paragraphs in total. Remember, you have your introduction at the beginning, you have your conclusion at the end, and you have your 3 arguments. So similarly, the thesis should contain the 3 arguments that you will be writing about in your body paragraphs. So the first body paragraph in this example will be about the healthiness of Japanese food. The second paragraph will be about the originality and creativity and how different and how unique Japanese food is. And then your third paragraph will be about how tasty it is and how other people find it to be very tasty and it is very popular and there are sushi restaurants in every country now, etc. So again, this thesis sentence, although it's in your introduction, it has all of the little elements, okay, speaking very generally, okay, about what the rest of your essay is going to be about. So I, as a reader, can look at your thesis and say, okay, you're going to be talking about healthiness first, and then originality, and then taste. And remember, it's just one sentence, and you don't want it to be too long. You don't want it to be a run-on sentence. In some cases, and you can ask your teacher about this, in some cases, their teacher will allow you to use personal pronouns for your thesis sentence. So sometimes it might be worded like, in this essay, I will argue that Japanese cuisine is the best cuisine in the world because it is 1, healthy, 2, original, and 3, tasty. Sometimes you might do it like that, but I just made it nice and simple for everybody. Again, you want it to be brief, short, and don't explain too many details in your thesis because the details should go into your body paragraphs. We will get into that in a moment. Another example of a thesis sentence is, France is a great travel destination due to its beautiful weather, its unique tourist spots, and delicious food. Okay, so again, 3 reasons. I'm trying to prove that France is a great place to go because A, it has great weather, B, it has tourist spots that you will not find anywhere else, places to visit, and C, you have delicious food in France. Again, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, body paragraph 3. Okay. Once you're done your thesis, you're done your introduction. Congratulations. Sometimes it's helpful to write your thesis first. I don't mean at the beginning of your essay. What I mean is when you're preparing for your essay, when you're preparing for your topic. You should generally know what your position is and have your research done beforehand, before you actually start writing. Okay, so sometimes a thesis, even though it's just one sentence, because it is so important, and because it encompasses so much of what your essay is about, and sometimes thinking about that and working on that and doing research for that might be the first step in writing an essay, because it is so important. After your introduction comes body paragraph 1. This is also called argument 1. In argument 1, again, we're dealing with the first point used. So in this case, it is the healthiness of Japanese food, and in this case, it might be the beautiful weather of France. So first, you would like to restate. You want to give a topic sentence. So what is your statement for this paragraph? Your statement could be, Japanese food is a very healthy cuisine. Or your statement might be, the weather in France is very beautiful all throughout the year, for example. That could be your first sentence of that body paragraph. Second sentence, explain yourself. What does it mean? Okay, using different words. What does it mean to say that Japanese cuisine is very healthy? Why does it matter? Would be the third sentence. Why is this topic important to your essay? The fourth sentence in this paragraph should be providing evidence. Again, you need evidence in order to convince your audience. So what is the proof for your statement? Is Japanese cuisine healthy? Is French weather that great? Give me a quote, give me a statistic, or give me a fact. Okay? This quote, generally don't quote just social media or Facebook or Instagram, and don't quote blogs either, but quote newspaper articles, encyclopedias, okay, other types of news articles online, quote academic books, so actual published books, university papers, journals. You want the source that you're getting evidence from to be something that is actually valid. If you're writing a paper on Shakespeare, for example, maybe the quote will be directly from the book that you're reading. Okay, so if you're reading Hamlet, maybe your teacher will ask you to get a quote from Hamlet to be your piece of evidence. And the essay is incomplete without that quote. A statistic is a type of number. Okay, in some cases it's a percentage. In other cases it's a number of people who agree or a number of people who disagree with something. And of course a fact could be backed up, again, by research, by science, okay? And your evidence will always differ depending on what topic you're writing about. Now don't just leave your evidence there and your quotation there, but also explain it. And that's what you're doing with the fifth sentence. You're explaining the meaning of this evidence. Okay, what does this quote mean? What is it trying to say? And then how does that evidence connect to your argument? How does it prove what you are saying in your body paragraph? And there's your body paragraph. First, what is your statement? Then, what does that mean? Then, why is it important? Then, provide your evidence or your proof. Then, explain what that meaning, the meaning of the evidence is. And then lastly, how does the evidence connect to your argument? And of course, you're doing your body paragraph 3 times. Okay? That's your introduction at the top, conclusion at the bottom, and 3 body paragraphs. Remember, in your thesis, you have 3 topics. They correspond to 3 body paragraphs. I hope that's very clear. So with that, we're going to learn how to write a conclusion. In your conclusion, if this is an upside down triangle, where you go from general to specific, a conclusion would be the opposite. It would be from specific to general. It would be like a right side up triangle. So the first sentence in your conclusion is you want to restate your thesis. Okay, so write your thesis again, but in different words. Okay, to remind your reader exactly what the essay has been arguing and what your position is on the topic. In your second sentence, explain that throughout your essay, the evidence you've provided has sufficiently proven your arguments. This is very important. So you want to close your essay, you want to conclude your essay with an acknowledgement that you have sufficiently validated your points. Now, of course, there will always be people who disagree with you, right? Even when you provide your points, not everybody's going to be convinced that Japanese cuisine is the best cuisine in the world. Even with the proof provided, they may have disagreement. They may not like Japanese food, or they may not like France as a travel destination. Okay, they may prefer a different country. So in your conclusion, you got to throw these people a bone. You should affirm or acknowledge those who may disagree with you. You may say, oh, some may disagree that France is a good travel destination. You may prefer to visit a different country. Okay, so you want to acknowledge that they exist. You want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But in your fourth sentence, you want to establish that, despite this disagreement, your points are still important to consider, that your points still stand, that your evidence is still valid. Or you can give a quick reply and say how this disagreement is actually wrong. You might want to give a quick reply, again, very quickly, 1 or 2 sentences, and give a counter argument to what the naysayers may be claiming. And lastly, you'd like to end your paragraph with a reverse hook. Okay, so just how your hook actually hooked in everybody. If you remember at the very beginning of the introduction, you have your hook sentence, so something that gets your reader's attention. You want to have a very similar hook at the very, very end, so that your essay is a full circle. So for example, if your hook in the beginning was a quote, perhaps your hook in the conclusion will be a very similar quote. Or perhaps you will address your quote in a sentence in some way, or restate it. If it is a question, perhaps you will answer that question at the end of your essay. If your hook at the beginning was a statistic, perhaps address that or give a similar statistic, and if it's a joke, same thing. So you want your essay to be like a full circle. You start with a hook, and at the end you give some kind of a nod or acknowledgement of that hook. And that's how you write an essay. Of course, essays sometimes end with a bibliography, so please check with your teacher what kind of bibliography you would like to write, whether it's MLA style or APA style or Chicago style or Turabian style. Every bibliography is different, so always check with your teacher how they would like to have their bibliography written for this essay. And of course, you can always go to the internet and find the different bibliographical styles that are out there. So I hope this was beneficial to everybody, and I hope you all write very persuasive essays and that you persuade your interlocutors. Okay, thank you very, very much, and hope to see you for the next video. Take care.